Hello and welcome to today's video. In this one we'll be looking at the auto battles in the djembe and see if they're actually worth doing over the normal way. Now I have spoken lightly about this in my previous video when I was covering all the newest things that they've added to the update, and if you wanted to see this update video before this one, then I'll leave a link for you here or at the end of the video so you can check that out for yourself. So the reason why I'm making this video today is to show you the benefits and negatives that come along with doing the auto battles. And as of right now, I do see a lot more negatives than positives, but the auto battle feature has a massive potential for the future. Now what I want to do is show you how long it takes to do your auto battles on a 4x speed. I'll have this stopwatch here to help keep track of how long it takes to do the whole djembe, and even on a 4x speed for a video that still takes a long time, so I will be speeding up the video in editing. But don't worry, this will also speed up the stopwatch as this will help keep things consistent. But what I won't be doing is pausing the stopwatch when I need to add fighters after any die, and that's because in the normal djembe method you would have to do this anyway, so this will also help keep things the same. Now this does create some variables on how many people go down and how many rounds I need to replace the people, so your experience will vary a little to mine, but it will be somewhat comparable. So with this djembe ended, it took us this long to do the djembe with the auto battle feature, and now I want to compare how long it takes to do them manually and compare them against each other to see which one is faster. I also don't want this run through to seem as long as before, so I will speed this up a lot more than I did last time. And if you really wanted to verify if I have done these djembes properly, you can always mute the video and slow it down as much as you need to check anything that I've done. I forgot to mention that I am using the same squad and hero setup for these runs to keep them as similar as possible. So now that we're done with this manual run of the djembe, we can see it's quicker than doing them automatically. But why is this important? Well, this is something I'll have to come back to later in the video after I explain a few things. And before we continue, please give this video a like if you enjoyed it so far. Now the reason why I'm leaving the question till later is because there are some more negatives that come along the way before we can answer it. Firstly, on top of the auto battles being slower, they will also pause at the end of each battle if you was to lose any of your fighters. This will become a big issue for players as you never really know when you're going to lose someone. You could be unfortunate and lose someone in the early rounds, it could be near round 10, it could be round 3, who knows when it comes to this game, there's never really any certainty. But whenever this happens, you need to be looking at your screen when this does happen, otherwise you could be missing out on rounds compared to if you was looking at your screen. This follows on to the next issue that the game could easily change, and that's the fact when you do lose a fighter, the game should add the next fighter in line to your squad to continue the rounds. Now yes, this isn't ideal sometimes depending on your squad setup, but the idea of making something auto is so you don't have to be looking at your screen or to do anything with the game. And they already have this separate feature where you can actually set up your team before the djembe starts. So when the next djembe comes along, it's just a simple press of previous squad and off you go. So you could easily set this up to your preference if you was planning on doing it a certain way. And I do agree that this page setup needs a bit of work to it, because if you drag people up into certain positions, it will remove the person you place them on, which means the best practice would be to remove everyone in the lineup and then add everyone you want to start in every djembe and add people after that on how you want it to follow on. The next negative, which isn't really a massive one unless you struggle with the djembe, and that's the fact that the djembe doesn't use spells until the later rounds. And as of right now with my testing, I can see it's using the free spells it's given me over time first, so I'm not sure how this will affect your normal spells when it comes around to this. If you've seen the auto battle's usual spells, please message below on what spells it was using and what round it was on, so then everyone and even myself can learn from this new system. Now you can buy these spells they give you over time from the store for a fairly low price, but because the quantity is so low, I wouldn't say it's a good value, and I would just ignore these in the store. The last major negative with the auto battles have already been spoken about, and that's how long it takes to do them. I see no reason that you have to wait 4 to 5 seconds after each fight just to start the next one. I would much prefer to see an exit or finish button during each fight to cancel the auto battles if need be, and once each battle has ended, they should just roll on to the next fight until you again press the cancel or finish button. This way would improve the times drastically and actually allow the auto battles to be much faster than doing them manually, and making this a better option to use. So if the auto battle feature is slower, has issues with replacing people, and doesn't use the spells on every round, then who is this feature really for? Well, until they can fix all of these issues, I think it's only for a small amount of use cases. Even now, the auto battle feature Hustle Castle have added will be great for people with busy lifestyles. And what I mean by this is, if you don't have the time to do your gem base, and you would normally miss out on a few attempts per day, then it wouldn't really matter if you play the auto battles in the background and lose your team on round 12, or even play and lose on round 8. You would still be gaining rewards over djembe runs that you wasn't going to be doing in the first place. Other cases might be, if Hustle Castle isn't the main game you play, you might be on a different game while the event is out at the same time. But while an event is out, it's obviously important to do your djembes, so this will actually help people who want to do well in events, but don't want to spend as much time on Hustle Castle as other players. So this brings up the question, if Hustle Castle is the main game you play, or at least you play it enough, should you actually be using the auto battle feature? And the straight answer is no, unless you don't have the time for whatever reason. Once they make some much needed changes to the new feature, then it could be worth using over the normal method. So here's the short version of what we've just talked about today. We know that the auto battle feature has great potential for the future if they can act on it, and it can be great for people with not a lot of time on their hands, but here are all the negatives that remain right now, and starting with the worst in my opinion. Firstly, the time it takes to do your djembe using the feature just takes too long. The next, when people die, it doesn't replace them for the people in your team. And lastly, they should use spells from the get-go, as they shouldn't assume you can always make it to the later rounds every time, especially if you're going to be a new player. Make sure you do get subscribed though, as if they do make any changes that I've just discussed, then I'll be making a video on it and just as in depth as this one today. And make sure you to leave your thoughts on what they should change in your opinion down in the comments, and make sure to leave them on the Hustle Castle Facebook pages as well, and even link this video. This way we can really make a point of what they need to change as soon as possible. Anyways, thank you for watching this video if you made it this far. Here's my old djembe guide for anyone struggling with the djembe. It may be old, but it still holds some great information you can use today. And why not check out my video on all the changes that Hustle Castle have made recently.